The iron grip falls. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years. Their massive warships, shaped like obsidian daggers, patrolled 12,000 star systems. Every species bowed before their might. Every planet paid tribute. Every voice that dared speak against them was silenced forever. Emperor Vextar sat on his crystal throne, watching reports from across his domain. The palace walls displayed a living map of conquered worlds, each one pulsing with the Empire's crimson light. Today marked another anniversary of his greatest victory. The day humanity was erased from existence 40-3 years ago. Human colonists on Kepler 442b had refused to surrender their world. They claimed it was their home, their right to exist free. Vextar had laughed at their defiance. Humans were young, weak, barely capable of faster-than-light travel. What threat could they pose to an empire that had crushed civilizations older than their species? The answer came in the form of orbital bombardment. For 72 hours, imperial dreadnoughts rained fire on Kepler 442b. Cities turned to glass. Oceans boiled away. The planet's crust cracked and bled molten rock. When the bombardment ended, nothing lived, nothing moved. The world was a tomb, but Vextar had not stopped there. Every human colony, every ship, every outpost was hunted down and destroyed. The species that dared defy the Empire was wiped from the stars. Their homeworld, Earth, was left untouched but isolated, cut off from the galaxy by imperial blockades. Let them rot in their corner of space, the Emperor had declared. Let them remember what happens to those who resist. For decades, the galaxy had forgotten about humanity. They became a cautionary tale, a whisper in the dark. Some species wondered if humans had died out completely. Others believed they had fled to the void between galaxies. The Empire's official records listed humanity as extinct. Case closed. Victory complete. General Crixnell, the Empire's supreme military commander, stood before a massive tactical display in the Imperial War Room. His four arms moved across holographic controls, reviewing patrol reports from the outer rim. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. For the past month, communications had been failing across several sectors. Not the usual technical glitches or solar interference. These failures were precise, targeted, as if someone was carefully cutting the Empire's nervous system piece by piece. Supply convoys had gone missing. Remote outposts had gone dark. Search teams sent to investigate never returned. The pattern was subtle but unmistakable. Someone was testing their defenses, probing for weaknesses. But who? Which species would dare challenge the Empire's power? The answer came at 0347 Imperial Standard Time. A massive energy pulse erupted from empty space. Near the Proxima Relay, the Empire's most important communication hub. The pulse didn't destroy the relay. Instead, it did something far worse. It took control. Across the galaxy, every Imperial screen, every communication device, every public display flickered and changed. The Empire's golden eagle symbol vanished, replaced by something that made seasoned military officers step back in shock. A simple blue marble, a world of swirling white clouds and deep oceans. Earth Dart then came the voice, clear, calm, and absolutely human. Greetings, Zephyrian Empire. This is Admiral Chenwei of the Human Liberation Fleet. 43 years ago, you murdered 3 billion innocent people on Kepler 442b. You declared our species extinct. You were wrong. Emperor Vextar shot up from his throne, his 6 eyes blazing with rage. Impossible. We destroyed them all. But the voice continued, now broadcasting to every world in the empire. We survived. We adapted. We learned. And we remembered every single life you took. Today, your debt comes due. The transmission ended, but its effect was instantaneous. Panic spread through imperial command centers. How had humans breached their most secure networks? Where had this fleet come from? And why couldn't their sensors detect it? Dr. Sarah Mitchell stood in the command center of the UHS Retribution, humanity's most advanced warship. She was one of only 12 survivors who had escaped Kepler-4 to be before the bombardment. For 43 years, she had worked in secret, developing technologies the Empire couldn't imagine. The Retribution and its sister ships were invisible to Imperial sensors. Phased slightly out of normal spacetime, human scientists had discovered how to manipulate quantum fields, bending reality itself to their will. While the Empire grew comfortable and lazy in their dominance, humanity had been forced to innovate or die. They chose to innovate. Phase drives are stable, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson Park, the ship's chief engineer. All stealth systems nominal. They still can't see us. Admiral Chenway nodded grimly. He had been a young captain when Kepler 442 be burned. He had watched the recordings of the massacre, seen the faces of the children who died in the flames. That image had driven him for 4 decades, pushing him to prepare for this moment. Begin Operation Reckoning, he ordered. Target their outer defense grids first. I want them to know they're being hunted before they understand by whom. The first Imperial outpost to fall was Garrison Delta 7, a military station orbiting a gas giant on the Empire's frontier. The base commander, Colonel Vexfer, was reviewing supply requisitions when his sensors detected an impossible energy signature. Something massive was approaching, but his screens showed only empty space. Sir, we're reading gravitational distortions consistent with a large vessel. But visual confirms nothing there, his sensor operator reported, confused. Before the colonel could respond, his station's shields simply vanished, not destroyed by weapons fire, not overloaded by energy beams. They were surgically removed by technology that shouldn't exist. Impossible, Vexfer whispered. Nothing can disable our shields without his words. Were cut short as the station's hull began to dissolve. Not melting or burning, but actually breaking down at the molecular level. In 30 seconds, Garrison Delta 7 and its crew of 800 simply ceased to exist. The pattern repeated across the Empire's border. Stations vanished. Patrol fleets disappeared without sending distress signals. Supply convoys were found drifting empty, their crews gone. Their cargo holds echoing with silence. But humanity's true message wasn't destruction. It was precision. Every target was military. Every casualty was a combatant. Civilian ships and stations were left untouched, their crews finding data packages containing detailed records of Imperial war crimes. The galaxy began to pay attention. Emperor Vextar convened an emergency war council. His greatest generals and admirals gathered in the throne room, their faces grim. The Empire's military might had never been challenged like this. Report, the Emperor commanded. General Crixenal stepped forward, his armored form towering over the others. We've lost contact with 37 outposts in the past week. No wreckage, no survivors, no witnesses. Whatever is attacking us can strike without detection and vanish without trace. It's the humans, snarled Admiral Vorthak. The Empire's naval commander. It has to be, but how? We destroyed their fleets decades ago, did we? asked a quiet voice from the shadows. All eyes turned to Intelligence Director Isara, a serpentine being whose species had served the Empire for millennia. Her scaled features were thoughtful, concerned. "Explain," Vexstar demanded. "We destroyed the human colonies we could find," Isara said carefully. "We eliminated their known fleets and bases, but we never actually confirmed the total population. What if some escaped? What if they'd been preparing all this time?" The Emperor's rage filled the room like a physical force. "Then we finish what we started. Mobilize the Grand Fleet, find these human terrorists and crush them completely." But even as he gave the order, doubt crept into his mind. The humans had somehow become invisible to imperial sensors. They struck without warning and vanished without trace. This wasn't the desperate last stand of a dying species. This was something else entirely. This was war waged by ghosts who remembered how to hate. Asterisk. This was war waged by ghosts who remembered how to hate. Across the galaxy, other species watched the Empire stumble. The proud Korathi, enslaved for 6 centuries, whispered prayers for their mysterious liberators. The gentle Nexari, reduced to servitude by imperial conquest, began to hope for the first time in generations. And in the deepest regions of space, where no imperial patrol had ever ventured, humanity's true fleet waited in silence. Thousands of ships, each one a masterpiece of technology born from necessity and refined by vengeance. Admiral Chenwei stood before a massive display showing imperial positions across the galaxy. Red dots marked enemy strongholds. Blue dots showed human assets. Green dots indicated species that might join their cause. "The first phase is complete," Dr. Mitchell reported. "Their outer defenses are neutralized. Communication networks are compromised. They're blind and confused." "Good," Chen replied. "Now comes the hard part. The Empire will mass their forces for a counterattack. When they do, we'll be ready." He turned to address his command crew, officers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. 43 years ago, they thought they could erase us from history. They were wrong. We are the children of Kepler 442b. We are the voices of the silenced. And today, we begin the end of their empire. The second phase of Operation Reckoning was about to begin. And this time, there would be no mercy for those who had shown none. Asterisk. The Reckoning unleashed the Imperial Grand Fleet assembled at Nexus Prime, the Empire's military capital. It was the largest gathering of warships in galactic history. 5,000 vessels of every class, from nimble interceptors to massive superdreadnoughts, capable of cracking planets. Emperor Vexstar himself commanded from his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, a ship the size of a small moon. General Crixenol studied the tactical displays with growing unease. "Your Majesty, we're deploying our entire military force to hunt an enemy we can't see. This leaves our core worlds defenseless. Vexter laughed, his voice echoing through the bridge. "What could threaten the heart of our empire? These human ghosts have attacked only remote outposts. They lack the numbers for a real war." But even as he spoke, the Emperor felt doubt gnawing at him. The human attacks showed planning and patience far beyond what his species remembered. This wasn't desperation. This was strategy. Light years away, Admiral Chenwei watched the Imperial fleet through quantum sensors that pierced space itself. The sight of so many enemy ships would have terrified any normal commander. Chen smiled. "They've taken the bait," he announced to his bridge crew. All Imperial forces concentrated in one location, far from their home worlds. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, nodded from her science station. Quantum displacement fields are ready. Phase generators are charged. The entire fleet can jump to Zephyrian Prime within minutes. And our allies, the Karathi resistance, has secured the orbital defense platforms. The Nexari have disabled the planetary shield generators. The Threnody have evacuated all civilian. Arius, Mitchell's voice carried grim satisfaction. The species they enslaved are ready to strike back. Chen turned to face his crew. These were the children and grandchildren of Kepler-4, for 2B survivors. Each one had grown up knowing their purpose, training for this day. Begin Phase 3. Target the Empire's heart. The assault on Zephyrian Prime began not with explosions, but with silence. Emperor Vextar was reviewing battle plans when every screen in his flagship went dark. Communications died. Sensors failed. For a terrifying moment, the Eternal Dominion drifted blind in space. When the systems restored, they showed something impossible. Earth's blue marble appeared on every display, but now it wasn't alone. Surrounding it were thousands of ships, each one sleek and deadly, their hulls reflecting the light of distant stars like polished mirrors. "This is Admiral Chenwei." The human voice spoke directly into every imperial mind through quantum communication fields. "We gave you 43 years to surrender. You chose to remain tyrants. Now face the consequences." The human fleet didn't use conventional weapons. Instead, they deployed technology that rewrote the laws of physics. Imperial shields collapsed as their quantum matrices were dissolved. Dreadnought armor turned to vapor as molecular bonds were severed. The proud warships of the Empire began falling apart at the atomic level. But the most devastating weapon wasn't technological, it was truth. Across every world in the Empire, screens displayed the full record of Kepler-4 for 2B's destruction. They showed Imperial officers laughing as civilian evacuation ships burned. They showed Zephyrian commanders giving orders to target schools and hospitals specifically. They showed Emperor Vextar himself watching the bombardment with satisfaction. For the first time in 8 millennia, the galaxy saw the Empire as it truly was. The Karathi were the first to rise. On 17 worlds, they seized Imperial garrisons and declared independence. The Nexari followed, their peaceful nature transformed into righteous fury. The Threnody, the Valdic, the Kixnari species after species threw off their chains and turned on their oppressors. Emperor Vextar watched his empire crumble in rebellion spread like wildfire. His own forces were scattered, confused, unable to coordinate without their communication networks. "How?" he whispered. "How did they survive? How did they become so powerful?" The answer came from an unexpected source. His own intelligence director, Izara, removed her mask to reveal scarred features and eyes that burned with ancient hatred. "Because you made us witnesses," she said, her voice no longer the loyal whisper of a servant. "My people were the first you conquered 8,000 years ago. We've served you, watched you, learned from you, and we've been waiting." Before Vextar could react, Isara activated a concealed device. The Eternal Dominion's shields failed. Its weapons powered down, its engines died. "The humans aren't your only enemies, tyrant. We all remember, we all survived, and we all want justice." The final battle took place in orbit above Zephyrian Prime itself. The human fleet materialized around the imperial capital like avenging angels, their ships moving with perfect coordination. But they didn't fire on the planet below. Instead, Admiral Chenwei sent a single message to the world's population: People of Zephyria, your emperor ordered the massacre of 3 billion innocent humans. He has enslaved dozens of species across the galaxy. His crimes demand judgment, but his punishment should not fall on you. We offer you a choice. Stand with justice or fall with tyranny. The response was immediate. Across Zephyrian Prime, protests erupted. The Emperor's own people, seeing the truth about their leader's actions, rose up in revolution. Imperial Guard units laid down their weapons rather than fire on civilians. In his throne room, now powerless and alone, Emperor Vextar faced his final moments. The crystal walls that once showed his vast empire now displayed the faces of his victims. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds, all looking at him with silent accusation. Admiral Chen Wei materialized in the chamber, his form solidifying from quantum energy. He was older now, his hair gray, his face lined with the weight of decades. But his eyes still burned with the memory of Kepler-4, for to be. You remember me? Chen asked quietly. Vextor S6 eyes focused on the human. You were there, at the colony. You escaped. I was evacuation coordinator. I saved 12 people out of 3 billion. Every night for 43 years, I've seen the faces of those I couldn't save. Chen stepped closer. Did you ever think about them? Did you ever wonder if they had families, dreams, hopes for the future? The Emperor said nothing. Your empire is finished, Chen continued. Your fleets are destroyed. Your worlds have chosen freedom. The species you enslaved are free. The only question now is what happens to you. Vextar straightened, trying to summon his old arrogance. You'll execute me, I suppose. Take your revenge. No, Chen said, surprising him. We're not you. We don't murder the defenseless. He gestured to the walls around them. You'll stand trial. Every species you oppressed will have their say. Justice, not vengeance. As Imperial Guards now working for the provisional government led Vextar away, Chen remained in the throne room. Dr. Mitchell joined him, her scientific equipment recording everything for the historical archives. Is it over? She asked. Chen looked out at the stars, where human ships worked alongside vessels from dozens of liberated species to establish supply lines and medical aid for war-torn worlds. The war is over, he said. But the real work is just beginning, building something better than what came before. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy transformed. The Galactic Liberation Alliance was formed, with Earth and humanity playing a leading but not dominant role. The new government was based on cooperation, not conquest. Species were free to develop their own cultures while working together for mutual benefit. The Zephyrian people, freed from their emperor's tyranny, proved to be natural diplomats and mediators. The Karathi became master engineers, rebuilding war-torn worlds. The Nexari shared their agricultural knowledge, ending hunger on dozens of planets and humanity. They became the guardians, using their advanced technology to protect the innocent and ensure that no species would ever again face genocide. Emperor Vextar faced the Galactic Justice Tribunal. On the neutral world of Haven, representatives from every oppressed species testified to his crimes. The trial lasted months, documenting 8,000 years of atrocities. He was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote world, stripped of power but allowed to live, a mercy he had never shown his victims. Years later, Admiral Chen Wei stood in the memorial garden on New Kepler, a world the Alliance had terraformed in honor of those lost at Kepler-4 for 2b. 3 billion flowers bloomed there, one for each victim of the massacre. A young approached him, her scaled features showing curiosity rather than the old arrogance of her species. "Admiral Chen, I'm studying the war for my history class. Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why didn't you wipe us out when you had the chance?" Humans had every right to seek revenge. Chen smiled, thinking of all the children playing together in the gardens. Human, Zephyrian, Korathi, Nexari, and dozens of other species. Because revenge creates more revenge. Justice creates peace, and peace creates the future. He gestured. "To the diverse group of youngsters, that's the future we chose to build." The young Zephyrian nodded thoughtfully, then ran off to rejoin her friends, a mixed group that would have been impossible under the old empire. Chen remained in the garden as the twin suns set, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Humanity had been pushed to the edge of extinction, but they had survived, they had learned, they had grown strong, and when the time came, they had chosen to build rather than destroy, to heal rather than harm, to forgive rather than forget. The empire that had ruled for 8,000 years was gone forever. In its place stood something better, a galaxy where every species had a voice, every world had hope, and every child could dream of tomorrow without fear. The age of tyranny was over, the age of cooperation had begun, and at its heart were the humans who had refused to let hatred consume them, choosing instead to light the way toward a brighter future for all. Asterisk.